Hello everyone and welcome back to Timberborn. This is episode 18, playing through hard mode. And in the last episode we began our longest drought yet at 28 days. It seemed like we barely managed to make it through the last drought, so this one is going to be pushing our limits just a little bit. The beavers of Waterfall Heights are pumping with renewed vigor. They have 7 large water tanks that they are attempting to fill. They'll be pumping this reservoir dry if they can. And the beavers of the lower plains are also pumping their fill. In today's episode, we're going to get a third district set up. I think right around here is a good spot to place it. It is a little close to this original district, but we'll have them be focusing on the area over here. They're going to rely heavily on the other districts to subsidize them in the beginning. And before we even start working on getting the district placed, we're actually going to lower this whole mountain a little bit. And in order to lower all of this, it's going to take quite a bit of dynamite, as you can see. Seems like we're running a little bit low on dynamite in this district. Extract is also running just a little bit low, so we got to make sure that we have the machine up and running. We'll switch this to bots for now, and let's look to get a third explosives factory up and running. And lucky for us, we actually have a spot that we could get some power transferred over from this building up into this area. Otherwise, we'd have to break this path and then have the power go across here somehow. And once again, switching it to bots and prioritizing it is definitely the play. Looks like we are actually dropping in bad water, so we are going to go ahead and get some more bad water pumps over here. And back in Waterfall Heights, it is finally time that we can revamp this whole area. We are not using this space very efficiently, so we'll go ahead and get rid of all these buildings. Although first we'll get a few builders' huts set up over here. So we have flattened every building around here. One thing I do want to do in this district is also get some dynamite placed down. We'll go ahead and lower all of this. We'll get some storage set up over here. And then we can also get some of those buildings placed. Back in the lower plains, they have finally made their way up the mountain, and they are starting the process of placing all this dynamite down. I am actually realizing that we have some raw mushrooms in this district, but we don't have anywhere to store them, and we also don't have anything to process them. And unfortunately, we're running a little bit low on space, so I think the next step is to start expanding our working area out over here. This will take quite a bit of resources, but thankfully we have these overhangs now. Now, unfortunately, with these platforms, they're not going to be able to reach this unless I build some stairs up, and then I think from along here they would be able to build these platforms, so we're going to go ahead and test that. Although actually I'm looking at this and I think we could utilize this area to be storage as well. And it looks like the beavers finished placing all the dynamite. So before I place any buildings over here, I know I said I was going to do storage in this area, but with this whole area opening up for storage, specifically the large piles, I think that we can go ahead and place a few of those right over here. And then once they finish building all of this, then we'll be able to start attaching some buildings over here. We'll definitely want to make probably a few engines, since you can see the gravity batteries are decreasing, although it's actually not dropping that quickly. Although we do actually have quite a few buildings paused. And so while I was looking to place some storage here, I did notice that we are running a little bit short on beds. So I think down here would be a great place to place some houses. And we'll also need to get some medical beds set up since we destroyed all the other ones that were here before. And after pausing basically all the water pumpers in this district, we have a whopping 13 unemployed beavers. And we are only at 7,500 water. I think we got up to around 10,000 at the highest. That being said, we are doing really well on bots, or on beavers. So we're going to go ahead and pause 3 of these breeding pods. And it looks like the beavers were in fact able to construct some of these platforms, and they're in the process of creating some of the other ones as well. There is a lot to do in this district. Thankfully we have a lot of beaver workers, but it does look like we are running pretty short on wood. Overall, we don't have that much, down to under 200. It's probably worth pausing one of these beaver buildings and getting some more lumberjacks involved. And we have completely maxed out on treated planks in this district. Seems like we have a lot of resources. It actually might make sense to see if we need 2,000 treated planks. And we need 2,000 metal. This will take a long time. I think we should just go ahead and start saving up some more treated planks. And we are getting close to getting all the dynamite here. Now the earth repopulator. This has quite a big range. It is humongous. We can look at getting it placed over here, but I do think we should make it a little bit nicer of an area. And with the log shortage, we're going to actually pause all 3 of these engines, since it seems like we're actually not doing too shabby on power in this district. So we'll leave just one running, that way we're actually creating at least a little bit of power. But all the buildings in this district are being halted, since they just cannot get enough wood. There's only 34 in total. And they finally finished placing all of this dynamite. So I'll go ahead and detonate all of this. And we are going to lower this whole thing one more time. It's going to take a lot of dynamite. We are running a little bit low on explosives. We have the 3 of those explosives factories working around the clock. But with the increased demand, we're going to get a temporary 4th one up and running. And since we have some green space, we can actually go ahead and turn this on. We'll just get some birch trees planted, since in the long run I don't imagine we'll leave trees up here. And as the beavers have continued to build, I am realizing that there's actually quite a bit of planks and logs lying around. So if we just high prioritize all of this, then we should be increasing how many logs we have, and we'll go up from a measly 10 to hopefully something a little bit better. It also looks like the beavers have been making good progress pumping all the water out. Looks like there's only a little bit left, and they are nearly maxed out. They have just under 7,000 water. And back in the lower plains, they also finished pumping. They have just a little bit less, just under 6,000, although they can hold up to 15,000. In preparation for the next wet season, we're going to actually get some more water pumpers, since they can't replenish all of their water storages with just the water pumpers that we have around right here. So let's go ahead and get ready to increase the amount of water pumpers they have. They are still running short on bad water in this district, and part of that is because we have some beavers working in here. We'll go ahead and get another couple deep bad water pumps set up. Looks like we're doing pretty good on canola seeds, but we are running short on canola oil. So we'll go ahead and get yet another oil press set up. With all these extra workers, we can go ahead and actually get some more hauling posts set up, even if these aren't going to be filled year round. We can also try and get some extract placed in one of these tanks a little bit closer to this area, and we can do the same for a small warehouse with explosives. And if we prioritize both these by haulers and have these warehouses and water tanks set to obtain, then that should make it more efficient for getting everything placed up here. Unfortunately, it looks like with all the water pumped out of here, that does remove the irrigation from this section. What we can do is get rid of these large industrial piles, since there's no scrap metal over in this area anymore. And then we can get some dynamite placed down, and we'll have another 3x3 grid for water to be dumped here. And to improve the well-being of these beavers, we'll go ahead and get some of these rooftop terraces placed down. So we can squeeze 4 in right up here, front and center. And then once they remove these trees, we'll be able to get a couple more overhangs placed down. We have so much to do in this district, and we do have a lot of unemployed beavers still. We are just going to completely go overboard. We'll just get another 4 builders' huts placed down, plus a hauling post. High prioritize all of this, and then we'll start pausing all of these water pumpers. So that's going to increase the amount of builders we have. 22 unemployed beavers, that's a lot. But then we'll have 16, 26 vacant jobs. These can all be low priority. How do these guys have so many explosives? Let's see. Oh, we need to prioritize these buildings by haulers, and then maybe they'll be able to get obtained. I'm waiting to see. Awesome. We had 1 extract brought over here, although we don't really have that much. Nice. We are starting to get some explosives brought over here. Once again, not that many explosives overall. We are starting to drop in water, and we have 11 days left. I think we actually have to switch all these back to beavers. Since they won't be working during the night, they'll be using less water. And we're going to pause one of these fluid dumps. Some of these less important fluid dumps we can also go ahead and pause. Basically the ones that are only supporting trees and not supporting food, we don't necessarily need them. Looks like the beavers have finally started working on getting the platform set up over here, and they should be able to finish building all these before the drought is over. Looks like we actually have too much pine resin. Go ahead and cut some of these trees down. We don't want to go overboard, but we'll start by just cutting a few of them down. These are starting to get pretty low. We still have a little bit of extra power on this side, but we're going to try and avoid turning on the engine since we're still pretty low on wood. We have just under 10 days left and the beavers are making good progress. There's a lot of dynamite down, and it looks like they're putting a lot of extract down over here. They're just missing some explosives and then just a little more extract over in this area. Looks like bad water in this district has gone up. We're doing much better, around 800. Extract is still low, but there's not really a whole lot we can do. We could make a bunch of extra centrifuges, but I don't think that's entirely worth it. And then same for the explosives factories. We already have 4 running. And then it looks like we have a lot of coffee bushes that are not being harvested. Let's go ahead and actually remove these ones. And then we'll just plant some trees down in this area instead. We did end up clearing this whole area, so we can go ahead and look at getting this monument placed down. 20,000 science. We have 22k, so we are good to go there. So we'll go ahead and unlock that. 20,000 science, just like that. We'll let the beavers get to that when they get to it. Still room for more treated planks and gears and metal blocks. I have a feeling we're going to need a lot more scrap metal though. So one thing we can look at doing is getting some scavengers to collect this scrap metal. We do have some iron bots who are unemployed. We just got to make sure that all of these are set to iron bots. And we'll want to make sure that there's no beavers constructing anything down here. Unfortunately, there's an intermixing of beavers and bots working. Maybe we can time it that this is constructed at nighttime. Ooh, but they might actually be able to construct it from up here. So we can leave this paused. They can construct this one up here, and then we'll unpause this during the night. We're running a little bit low on water, 2006, and we still have just under 8 days left. Looks like they are just about done making some of these water pumpers. We're doing really good on mushrooms, so we're going to actually pause a couple of these hydroponic gardens. But with it being nighttime, we can go ahead and unpause this, and then hopefully they'll finish both of these. Oh, and we are just about to run out of power. So we're going to start turning on some of these engines. Okay, we're getting a little desperate for water, so I'm going to build a water pumping station right here just to get the little water that we have in this area. Ooh, we can actually lower this. There's not going to be a whole lot of water coming out, but we can unpause a few of these water pumpers. And we'll make sure these ones are bots so they can pump the water as soon as it gets down here. So I think I've paused nearly every water dump except for ones that are supporting crops. And we're going to pause these other couple hydroponic gardens just to reduce how much water is going in there. We're down to 1.4 thousand, 6 days left. These guys are doing much better on water. They have 4.6 thousand. In fact, we're going to actually make sure that they can import water into the Lower Plains district, which we do have it set to import if needed, but we need to set the export threshold. We'll set that to 35%. Actually, we can make that a bit lower. We're going to 15% because they have quite a bit of capacity now, and I think in the past that these beavers have supported these beavers, so it's time for them to give back a little bit. We're at 1.5 thousand. I am hoping that they're going to be bringing some water over here. Looks like the beavers and bots have started working on the earth repopulator. They have only just scratched the surface. They're not even 10% of the way there yet. We do have the scrap metal collectors up and running. See, they have access to a good amount of it down here. We still have some unemployed bots, so let's go ahead. We'll get a decent amount of the scrap metal collectors down here. We just gotta set all of these to bots. We'll go ahead and pause one of the hauling posts since we have it seems like 10 of them. Or at the very least we'll just make this lowest priority. I think these buildings can be relocated. We could get some fun stuff in this area. We'll shove those builders' huts up here instead. So we are going up an extract. I assume... yeah, it looks like we finished placing all the dynamite. So now we have a lot of centrifuges creating extract and not really a whole lot of stuff that uses it. So we'll get a couple detailers. We'll get 2 on each side, and then maybe we'll get a couple scratchers. No, we'll stick with detailers. We'll go ahead and get 3 detailers on each side, and then we can fit some scratchers in the little 1x1 areas. Looks like we still have enough beds in this district. That's good. So we have just over 1,000 water and 3 days left. We have just over 1,000 water and 3 days left. And in Waterfall Heights, they're doing much better. 3.4 thousand. Thankfully, we have these beavers here. Oh my gosh, look at this. Is 1% complete. But we can go ahead and detonate this. This is going to be quite a big boom. I don't love the path sound being destroyed, but I guess it makes sense that they added that in. We can also recycle some of these, and then we'll get another district center set up, and we'll have this one front and center. So we have the next district set up. We have not named this yet, so go ahead and leave a comment what you think we should name it. And I am recording these videos a little bit ahead of time, so the comments that you guys leave in this video will not be incorporated for a few episodes. But as soon as there's a name that I do like, then we'll go ahead and rename this district. Okay, we have to lower the priority of this because the beavers are not building anything else other than this. So any beavers that don't have anything to do will work on this. All the other beavers will work on other stuff. And I've been so focused on trying to get this area carved out. This is going to be some underground storage for the 3rd district. But it looks like we have 0.8 days left, and I'm going to preemptively unpause all the water pumpers and all the water dumpers, and then we'll start pausing some of these buildings over here, and we'll do the same in Waterfall Heights. We almost forgot to raise this, but the drought has ended. We'll raise that all the way up, and then we'll let the water fill this whole area back in. Although now it's kind of hard to see with all the stuff on top. We are down to 400 water in this district. We have got to make sure that we can pump as much as we can during this next wet season. We have 6 water pumpers over here, and I have 2 grease stations so that they can be up and running. There are these 4 charging stations so they can pump as much as they want. 1,200 times 5, that is 6,000 water. So if they have the ability to pump that much, they can store it right here. It's a pretty quick turnaround. And then I have a couple more pumpers over here. It is the end of the first day and it's still filling this reservoir up. I don't think we've ever pumped it dry until today, but we will make the most of it as soon as water is coming down through here. In fact, we actually could probably lower this. We'll let the water spill out as quickly as we can so that way these guys can start pumping, and then we can slowly start raising this up. Because we have a dozen bots waiting to pump, and it is now beginning. As soon as the water starts filling up these 2 areas, we can start raising these floodgates back in this direction. But we were down to, I think it was around 1,000 water, so we'll see how much we can pump in a few days. So it's the beginning of the 3rd day. I've been playing around with letting water in pretty quickly into this area, but the beavers and bots are pumping, and it looks like the reservoir has finally filled all the way up, so the water is flowing freely all the way down. So at this point we have done all that we can. We could make more water pumpers, and maybe that is the route we need to go, but we'll let this play out for now. We're already up to just under 4,000 water. We have a bucket of bots over here working on getting the scrap metal. They are powering through. We are nearly maxed out. Metal blocks are running a bit low. We have so much going on in this district, and the beavers are going to be hopefully helping to construct some of this. Most of this stuff is within range, so before we get some beavers sent over here, we're going to get some dynamite placed down, and then we'll place some storages so that way they can pre-fill some of the storages before we migrate beavers over here. This is only 12% completed. It's still lower on the priority list, but there's a lot of bots and beavers working on it. Okay, we are in the middle of the wet season. This is the 22nd cycle. We still haven't hit a 30-day drought or bad tide yet. Maybe this next one will be that. But let's take a quick resource check. In this district, they're doing pretty good on food. They're nearly maxed out. They could use some more mushrooms, but we'll worry about that outside of the wet season. 2,000 water, just under 8,000 capacity. I think they were almost maxed out, and they were actually starting to run a little low, mainly because they were sharing with the other district. That being said, I think we should look at getting some more water storages set up. Unfortunately, most of the good real estate is actually taken up. One thing we could do would be to place a set of stairs here. We'll get rid of this one. And we won't be able to access it for now, that is okay. But then we'll get some platforms over here, and we'll start getting some overhangs placed. But we'll get some more storages, and then we'll just have them create that. So this is reconnected, and then we'll set all of these to water. In the Lower Plains district, I am liking having all these water pumpers here, but I do think we need some more water storage close by. So we'll do something similar. And we will need to move this water pumper, but we'll wait until after this wet season. And it looks like we have a bad tide approaching. But as I was saying, we'll move this water pumper after the wet season is over, and then we'll get another storage tank set up at that point. But I do want to prioritize these. That way we can at least get one more storage tank that is really close to these water pumpers. Overall, I think they're doing pretty good. 6.8 thousand water in this district. And they've only been pumping for like, I think 4, maybe 5 days. The bots over here are doing a good job. They have these two completely filled, and they've been working on getting these ones filled. Hopefully they can at least fill 4 of them, which would be just under 5,000 water. So we finally have the builder's huts and the hauling posts ready to be set up over here. I did eliminate all these ones except for this one that's being used, and then we'll get rid of these ones once they can establish these new ones. I think we'll leave these ones over here since we're not actually using this space for anything else. So we are running really short on metal in this district, which is preventing us from making the 2 large water tanks that I have prioritized. No doubt there's a lot of metal in here. Look at that. Just under 600 metal blocks. We have 4 smelters. We are basically maxed out on scrap metal. So let's go ahead and expand our working area. This is now connected to nothing, but we can go ahead and get 2 more smelters set up. And as long as we prioritize them, they should have all the resources to construct these. They have plenty of planks, gears, and obviously scrap metal. But these will both be set to bots. And we have just over 1 day left until the bad tide appears. Looks like they are still working on filling up these ones. Now I'd rather have one of these built than neither. So let's see, we'll get rid of this one. We'll just do that. I prioritize collecting that and constructing this. And then hopefully they can get 2 more metal blocks set up in here. We can have them pull from here. And with this so close, I'm hoping that they can fill it up by the end of today. One thing we can do is actually continue to pause these breeding pods, since we have so many beavers that are just working in these builders' huts, but they're not really doing much. So clearly our population's a little bit too high right now. And with that, we're going to wrap up today's episode. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the hard mode series. We might hit our 30-day event in the next episode, and I'm really enjoying working on this. We are working on the Earth Repopulator, which is a milestone that we are hoping to hit. But as soon as we finish building that and we hit the 30-day event, then we might want to move on to another series. So if you guys have any suggestions on what you want to see, leave a comment down below. I do have some ideas, but they do involve the features that were mentioned in the Update 7 sneak peek. And I figured that update is a few months away, so we will probably finish this series well before then. So if you enjoyed today's episode, go ahead and smash that like button. I really do appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who has been leaving comments. It's been a lot of fun getting back into YouTube and seeing all the engagement that you guys have been showing. And with that, we will see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.